We're here today to talk about the Refuge storm shelter, fiberglass underground storm shelter. Here you can see on their sides is a 12-person, 12-adult Refuge storm shelter, the R1, and on the left here you see the R6, the mini Refuge storm shelter. We're going to get you a close-up view of the inside, but here's from the outside to kind of give you an idea what they look like. You can see how the angle, the lid on the 12 is actually at an angle, so it's not quite a flat lid. And then the 6 here, you can see the doors though are very nice and easy to open. They're very long doors and they open very wide with wide steps. So we'll take a look at that here in just a second. You can see there's the air vents there on the top. Once it's buried, those will be covered, of course, with pipes sticking at the top to provide the adequate ventilation. And you'll see here it's got a locking door from the outside. You can open, it's got a 3-point locking system. You can see here it's just got a quarter turn is all it requires to lock the door. And once it does that, it locks there, and it locks on the top, and it also locks on the bottom. And this particular model has alternating steps, which is the only thing that FEMA, for whatever reason, does not like. Other than that, it does meet all other FEMA guidelines. And you can kind of see how spacious it is on the inside. I'll jump in there in a minute to show you kind of what it looks like on the inside with somebody inside. I want to give you a close-up look here of what it looks like. You got a handrail, and again, this is the mini Refuge, which is big enough for 6 people. Okay, what I'm going to do now for you is I'm going to go ahead and take some measurements so you can kind of see what the size of the shelter is, the entrance, the door, things like that. First, start with the door. You can see on the outside, the actual door measures about 26 inches by 60. So it's roughly a 2-foot by 5-foot door, so it's a very good sized door for getting into the shelter. And this is all that you're going to see on the outside other than the vents once it's installed. Again, you got the locking door here, which locks with a key, so you can keep kids out, keep people out. You can see it's very secure. Gas struts keep it open like that. The actual entrance is 21.5 inches by 56 inches. So as you can imagine, once this is flat and installed, it'll be real simple and easy to get inside. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to jump inside real quick and do some inside measurements for you, give you a better idea spatially of how much space there really is inside the 6-person Refuge. Okay, so here I am inside the Refuge. Again, it's on its side because it's not installed. And just to kind of give you an idea of space, you can see I'm one person, obviously. You can fit, in a circular fashion, you can fit 6 people around here. You can probably fit 2 people right in there, 2 people here, and another person here, another person here. So you easily fit 6 people. Again, you got your vents right here and right there. You got your handrail. I'll go ahead and measure for you the inside to kind of give you an idea. First of all, I'll measure the height for you. So the height from the floor to the ceiling is 74 inches. Okay, that's 6'2". And then I'll measure the width for you. The widest point you're looking at 53 inches wide. And then for the seating area long-wise, you're looking at about 61 inches long. So that's the kind of dimensions on the inside. And then here for where your feet are going to go, if you want those dimensions as well, 27 inches by 39 inches. If you didn't catch those, go ahead and rewind the tape and you'll be able to get those measurements again. But it's a very well-built shelter. Again, it's designed to withstand an F5 tornado. They're actually made in Texas. They meet all FEMA guidelines except for these alternating steps. FEMA does not like how they go up and down like this, which I believe they were designed just to help so you don't have to have as steep of steps, which is why they're alternating like that. So that's just the one thing to keep in mind. Other than that, this is a very good quality shelter, and And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and take a look at the bigger one next, which is the 12-person refuge shelter, and I'll kind of compare with you to show you how big that one is in comparison. Okay, here we're looking at the R1, which we call the R12, which is the Refuge 12 adult shelter. I'm going to go ahead and open this one. We're going to go inside as well. Of course, you got the vents up top as well, just like you have with the 6-person. And it's a much bigger shelter, and the door, of course, is on an angle. Hard to tell because we're here on an angle. It hasn't been installed, obviously. I'm going to go ahead and go on the inside and show you how spacious and how roomy the inside of this shelter is. So again, same thing. It's got a locking key. Go ahead and open it up. Opens all by itself. I'll come around here. We'll go ahead and do the same things. We'll take the measurements. This door is 32 inches wide. By about 67 inches long. So you're looking at about 2.5 feet by about 5.5 feet. So a little bigger door, makes it much easier to get into. 27-inch wide opening. By about 5 feet. So again, about 2 feet by 5 foot opening as far as being able to get inside the shelter. One other thing I didn't mention on the other refuge shelter, which has the same kind of thing. If you notice, it also has these gaskets here as well to keep the water out. It has it not only here on the top of the shelter, but also on the door. So that creates a seal to keep all the moisture and all the water and all the insects and all the bugs out. And so it basically seals the shelter. And of course you have your vents right there, which is how the air is going to go to get through, but it'll keep all the snakes, all the bugs, all the riffraff, all that kind of stuff out of the shelter. But again, same locking mechanism. 3-point lock, which again meets FEMA guidelines. This shelter is going to meet all FEMA guidelines or standards. We'll go ahead and go on the inside, but take one look at how big these steps are, how wide they are, and they're also more at an angle to give you very easy access into the shelter. Again, it's on an angle, but you'll still be able to see from the side here, as if you're looking down into it, how simple and how easy it is to get into, and how much space there really is down the inside of the 12-person refuge shelter. So I'm about 6 feet tall, so I'm going to show you about how tall it is here. It's more than 6 feet tall, or more than 6 feet long on the inside, just from this bottom step here. As you can see, it's quite spacious. These benches as well, on first notice, are deeper than the Refuge 6-person shelter as well, so they're deeper, so there's much more space that way as well. So not only can it accommodate more people width-wise all the way around the shelter, but also you can sit further back. But you got the handrail here as well. Another thing that you can see with the camera as well, it's got actually shelves here on the inside, so you can place your storage supplies for water, or maybe some MREs or some extra food just in case if you're concerned you may be down there for a while if you're in a very tornado-prone area, or if you've got a series of storms that you're expecting like we had last April 2011. So let's go ahead and take some measurements. First off, you've got your vents right here and right here. Again, that's how the air comes in and out of the shelter. Again, it meets or exceeds all FEMA guidelines. And we'll go ahead and take the height first. You can see I got my tape measure here. That's going to be approximate because of an angle here. But we're looking at approximately 6 foot 8 inches. So that's a very tall shelter. That's probably one of the tallest indoor shelters you're going to find for the Refuge 12-person, 6 foot 8 inches. We'll go ahead and take the width. Okay, width of the shelter, you're looking at about 79 inches from the back of one bench to the back of the other. 79 inches. So you're looking at about 6.5 feet. And then the length of the bench again was in the order of 6 feet. We're looking at, you're looking at 88 inches. So you're looking at a good 7 feet long. So 7 feet long. And so it's a very spacious shelter. You can easily get 12 people in here. In fact, they say you can probably get 12 to 15 people. I believe FEMA's rated for 12, but you can easily get 15 people inside the shelter. The big tornadoes coming through your way, this shelter will definitely keep you safe, just like the R6 will, or the R8, which is called the R2. And we'll show you that shelter here next. But again, this is an underground fiberglass storm shelter. You can see there's a lot of space in the shelter for a lot of people. Whether you're 2 people, 3, 4, 12, or even 15, you'll have a lot of space inside the shelter. A couple precautions, things you want to keep in mind when you're looking at an underground fiberglass shelter. Things you do not want to do inside of a shelter. You do not want to store any fuel. You don't want to do any cooking inside of a storm shelter. These are very simple things, but things you need to keep in mind. You can store some food, you can store some water, just don't do any action. Here again, this is the 12-person Refuge storm shelter, underground fiberglass storm shelter. You can see from the side how big and spacious it really is. As far as installing goes, if you have questions about how it's installed, you can see on the bottom it's got these 3 pipes on the bottom. And the way these are installed, we have these metal pipes that we stick through the bottom of the shelters there. Once it's in the bottom of the hole and it's leveled and grade's been shot, we then take these concrete blocks, which I'll show you here in a minute, and set them on both sides of the shelter to anchor it down and keep it down there. And the weight, you're looking at about 2,000–3,000 pounds or so just in weight to kind of keep that thing down there on top of how heavy the shelter is already. So that's what keeps it down there in the ground if you're concerned. And of course we backfill the dirt on top of it. And all you're going to see once it is in the ground, all you're going to see is the door. It's going to be filled to right about here or so. So all this is going to be underground. All you're going to see is just this door above the ground. Again, with the mini Refuge, this is the R2, which we call actually an R8 because it holds 8 people. So this is the 8-person underground fiberglass Refuge storm shelter. I'm going to go ahead and take measurements for you again and kind of compare to the size on the inside of this one compared to the 12 that we showed you previously and the 6. Again, same locking mechanism. You can use a key here, quarter turn, and it unlocks. And virtually opens on its own because of the gas stretch system that it's got. Okay, you're looking at a 22.5-inch opening by 73 inches. So you're looking at, this is actually 6 feet tall by 2 feet wide as far as getting inside the shelter. The lid, of course, will be a little bit larger than that. You've got, again, you've got the rubber gasket here. It's going to, again, seal against the lid here to keep all the water and moisture out, all the snakes, bugs, and things like that. Again, quarter turn lock, locks in 3 points, down at the top, bottom, the top, here, and on the side. These steps, again, unlike the 6 that had alternating steps, it's more like the 12, not quite as wide as the 12, and a little bit longer, but you can kind of see that because there are so many steps, it's very slow, shallow decline, so it's very easy to get into, as I'll demonstrate. Again, it is on an angle, so it's a little bit more difficult to get into when it's not installed flat, but to kind of give you an idea on the space, I'm going to go ahead and go on the inside here and give you an idea, take some measurements, and show you how big it is on the inside. Again, this is the R2 8-person Refuge storm shelter. Okay, so here we are. Again, if you remember from the last storm shelter, the 12-person, I had my arms all the way back and I couldn't touch the back wall. So here from the bench, it's about 6 feet. My head is basically touching the back of the wall here, so it's about 6 feet long. And as far as width goes, it's going to be probably about 4 or 5 feet. So we'll go ahead and take the measurements here for you. Give you an exact idea so you can plan ahead. Okay, as far as length, we're looking at exactly 6 feet. For the width, you're looking at 5 feet. So 5 feet wide, 6 feet long. Take the height here for you. You're looking at 78 inches, so 6'6" is what I'm measuring. And again, it's at an angle, so it may not be exactly accurate, but you're looking at least 6'6" inches on the inside here. You got the handrail, and I'll count the steps: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 steps. So you can kind of see it's a very shallow incline, very easy to get into. There are no shelves on this one, unlike the 12-person, which has a little more space. It's got the shelves, and the benches are not quite as deep as on the 12, as far as being able to sit back against the wall. So it is a little smaller shelter, but you can see how easily you could fit 8 people in here. 1 down there in the corner, 2 in the middle, and 1 here on the side or right here in the middle. You could probably even fit 10 people in here, but the other shelter, the 12-person, you could easily fit 12 or 15. So this kind of gives you a little comparison. Very spacious down here on the inside, very safe shelter. Again, the vents are right here on the top of the shelter. They go at the top, and again, they're going to meet or exceed FEMA guidelines. This shelter meets all FEMA guidelines, and it has been rated to exceed an F5 tornado. It's been impact tested to exceed debris flying around the air with an F5 tornado. It has surpassed all those tests. And again, this is the Refuge R2 patio style underground storm shelter.